I'm controversial social commentator Prue MacSween.
I'm Amanda Rose. I'm a founder, CEO and entrepreneur.
Radio broadcaster, not a shock jock, 2GB and 4BC and other stations around Australia, John Stanley.
Teena McQueen, political commentator, grandmother extraordinaire and consultant to the stars.
Gary Hargrave, radio, television and corporate work. And one day I'm going to get a real job.
Aren't we all, Gary? And I'm television and radio presenter Rob McKnight. Welcome to Beauty and the Beasts. You know, some people seek advice from their family, their friends. Others turn to us. They must be desperate. But we will try to help. Thanks for joining us for another edition. Let's get straight into it with our first question. And this one is from Prue.
Well, I think I've been set up with this one. This is a letter from Wild Betty from Bankstown.
Don't know what you mean, Prue. Don't know what you mean.
Yeah, you just hang in there, Rob. You will know. I admit some would think I'm mutton dressed as lamb. I'm in my 60s, but refuse to be cast as an oldie, wearing sensible shoes and letting my hair go grey. I do botox, have had my boobs lifted so they're no longer around my waist, and I teeter around on follow me home shoes. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to make the best of going old. I'm now considering a butt lift and maybe even a tuck down there. What do you booties and beasties think? Is there anything wrong with trying to defy aging in this ageist society? Well, Betty, I'm with you, honey bunny. I'm the Botox queen. I do fillers. I haven't had my boobies lifted or my butts done or even down there, but I'm working on it, and a lot of practice makes perfect. But go for it. I think life is too ageist and you need to grow old disgracefully.
Prue, we are a truthful show here. You haven't had anything done down there?
No, I don't need to. It's as tight as a bloody, what do you... Why does that score?
I don't believe that for a second. What do you think, Gary? Do you want prospective partners? You're a happily married man, of course, but do you think women should grow old gracefully or disgracefully, like Prue says?
Oh, I think they just got to be authentic. If they can rock it and they can do it, then they should. If they can't, then they'll come with a warning sign whether they can read it or not. So, Wild Betty, you do it if that's what floats your boat. But I'm sure that others will talk about you behind your back. But hey, as you get older, you get a little bit bigger. You're growing a thicker skin. Go for it. Do whatever makes you happy, I say.
Amanda, have you started? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this question. I'm going to get the hate coming out.
Probably not, right? But
have you started injectables?
No, so what I actually think is, yes, I think everyone should be able to do whatever they want, but as long as they're doing it for themselves, as long as you're doing it for you and not for some bloke, right? That's what we don't want. We don't want women,
I agree.
changing themselves or doing these things because they're trying to get the attention of someone, because if they require that of you, they're going to require constant change of you. So do it for yourself, regardless of what it is, and enjoy your life.
What about you, Teena? Do you think... Would you be open to a little bit of bow?
Oh, Rob, I'd love everything done possible. The problem is I fainted the sight of needle and absolutely hate pain. So if there's some way they can knock me out, remodel me, and it doesn't hurt, I'm all in. But apart from that, I'm a wuss.
Oh, I know what you mean. John, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. You've been broadcasting for 100 years now, and you still look like a man in your 30s, except for the hair, of course. How often do you get blood transfusions of young virginal boys or anything like that?
No, I'm actually younger than a lot of people, particularly people on this panel here, but that's a whole other story. I've been through for 3 decades, and she's got work. It's really good. She's done a really good job.
I was a baby when you first met me, John.
Oh, that's right. But you look amazing. And if the Botox is what's keeping your skin looking like that, that's fantastic. And look, from Betty's point of view,
mate.
if she wants to go around, if she's around trying to make herself look like the young women of today, then you'd have to fatten your lips. I mean, honestly,
Ugh.
the women, look at Married at First Sight. Half of them have got these lips that look like fish, and it's dreadful. So if you talk about work that doesn't work,
Nemo.
I reckon that's your perfect example.
The one and only time I attempted to get Botox, I was sitting in the room looking down. The doctor had her back to me. When she turned around, it was the ugliest doctor I've seen in my life. I said, if you can't do anything for yourself, you're not touching me, and bolted out of that room. True story of it.
Dear me.
Well, there's a lesson for us all. And if you've got a lesson or a question even for Booty and the Beast, contact us through social media. Booty and the Beasts AU. Well, they say politicians are the ugly version of celebrities. I wonder what former Polly Gary thinks about that, but we'll find out from him in just a moment. But while some might find them attractive, our next letter writer doesn't think much of them. Teena, could you please do the honours?
Sure, Rob. I have a letter from Rod from Fairlight. Dear B&B, I'm totally disgusted with the calibre of politicians we have in this country. Liars with giant egos, people putting themselves first, a cushy job thanks to the taxpayer. Big talkers with vested interests who have never held down a real job and who have totally lost touch with the reality of life. I sometimes think we'd be better off with a business person running a show rather than a career politician or ex-unionist. Someone like Trump. What do you guys think? And can I just say, Gary does not fall into any of those categories. He was a magnificent politician. I wish we had more like him. But generally,
Thank
there
you,
are some
Teena.
shitholes around. I agree with that.
Short, sharp, and to the point, Teena. Gary, you are an ex-politician. Do you think it's a fair assumption to say that you're the ugly version of celebrity? No, I don't want to.
No doubt, man. You know, I got a great face for radio. I first started in Brisbane radio in the late 70s and did a bit of TV. But, you know, politics was where I was at for a dozen years, 18 the Howard years. And look, the trouble is, when you get a bit older and you've been there, done that, and you haven't written a book, you start to look at everybody who's there right now and you think they are all about themselves. So I think Rob is right. There's too many people who are only worried about their gig and what their next gig is going to be. And it's all about the next election. It's got to be about the next generation. And until we start to get people who are nation builders, who don't care about themselves as much as they care about the people, Australia is in deep trouble, and that's where we're at right now. So I get pretty angry about that. You can listen to my radio program on 4BC 3 to 6 Monday to Friday. You can get the app.
He's subtle with the plug, isn't he?
Well, absolutely, as subtle as a train smash, mate. But I have to say, I don't stop. I get angry about this stuff. It really pings me right off.
Fair enough. Look, Amanda, I'm going to say that I think there are politicians who get into the job, and I feel like Gary was one of them. I do feel like there are politicians who do go in to try and do the right thing and probably get caught up in the system.
Name me
yes, I
10
agree with
now. Name me 10 now, Rob. That's what I say.
But the thing is, I think some do go in with a genuine heart. Very few, mind you, go in thinking, yes, I can make a change. And then they realise it's actually run by power brokers and factions. And there are systems that you cannot change and haven't been changed for hundreds of years. So you're really going up against a wall. And if you want to continue a political career, you have to agree with the majority. And they catch on pretty quick that, hang on a minute, if I want to last longer than 3 years, 4 years, or however long your term is, I better jump on board. And then what happens is they dilute their credibility, their brand, and all of a sudden they've become a politician rather than a representative of the people.
Yeah, John, you cover politics on Nights with John Stanley on 2GB, which we're getting all the plugs in.
And 4BC.
And 4BC. Do you think this is fair? Rob McKnight appears at 10 o'clock on Tuesday nights. Do you think this is fair criticism, John?
Well, look, I was political reporter in Canberra long ago when it was Hawke and Keating and Howard and Costello, and sometimes you hear people go, "Oh, it's better in my day." Well, it was better in my day. Most politicians, I think, go into it for the right reasons, but if you don't like the people we've got in politics, it's in our hands. We can actually vote for them. We're the ones that have put them into power. So ultimately, if you don't like who you've got putting themselves up for the Labor Party, the Liberal Party, look at the alternatives we've seen. I know most people here aren't fans of the Teals, but they've gone out there and said, well, here we are, we're an alternative. We've got Libertarians, we've got One Nation, there's plenty of alternatives. So if we're just re-electing dolts simply because they carry a party tag, it's our fault.
Prue,
Absolute.
I'm going to start a party, the Rob McKnight Party, and my slogan will be, "You'll be right with McKnight. Join the fight with McKnight. We'll be all right with McKnight."
We'll ignite with McKnight.
And you can go all night with McKnight.
They're in fright.
But seriously, why would anyone... People have actually asked me, why don't you go into politics? I'll tell you why. Because firstly, if you're an independent, you have very little say. And I could not be part of a party because unless you capitulate to the bloody factions, you don't get anywhere. It's a boys' club or getting a bit like a girls' club, but not much. But I just think that the calibre of people that we have putting themselves forward have come through the ranks of unions or the apparatchiks who have never had a proper job. They don't know the reality. They get into the Canberra bubble where you've got sycophantic public servants who are saying, yes, minister, and really then doing their own thing. They're the real power brokers. I just think the whole problem with this political system is that a business person wouldn't want to be in there because they wouldn't put up with all the crap.
Prue, I'm sorry. Businessmen don't do much better. Look at the big businessman we had in Turnbull who joined the party, and look what an absolute catastrophe that was. So you can't tell me business people do any better than those you just mentioned.
Yeah, except Turnbull is full of bull, so you can understand why he didn't work.
Well, nothing like a bit of political discussion to roll out. Enjoy politics. We'll never get anyone, certainly this panel, would never get them fired up. Just a nice, lovely question from Rod from Farlight. Thanks for your question, Rod. For more Booty and the Beasts content, join us on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Booty and the Beasts AU. Humans are very complicated. What turns you on might not necessarily turn on your friends. And with that in mind, our next letter writer certainly seems to have a strange fetish. And I can't think of anyone better than John Stanley to read this one
Really?
out. And we're about to find out why.
Really? Okay, let's have a look at this one. Here we go. Dear Booties and Beasts, I have a confession to make. I get turned on by men who wear toupees. Look, you see, follically challenged baldies, but I can't understand why they don't make the effort to put a rug on their heads. The next part of that is a wardrobe of different coloured toupees, and in that case, you can date a different bloke every night. So exciting, and we know that variety is the spice of life. And this is from Tantalising Terry from Box Hill. Now,
I feel like I said you are, John. I'm sorry.
no, I'm very suspicious about this one, but because I think the reality is the women on this panel know the look of the 21st century is the bald head. You've got men everywhere who unfortunately still have that stuff on the top of their head. They're still shaving their heads. But the notion of having a wardrobe of toupees, because see, I reckon if you were dating, I hate to say this, you're dating someone like Prue or maybe Teena, and you whipped out your Donald Trump wig, I think you'd be on a winner.
You're probably right. Yeah, it doesn't work. I always say don't run your hands through their hair because you never know what you might find.
John, have you ever been tempted to do the George Costanza and try a toupee?
No, I did it as a joke, and in fact I've talked about doing, they have, you shave your head for charity. I've talked to my colleague Phil O'Neill, who's follically challenged. We've talked about wearing a wig for a week, which would be very amusing, but I just like it the way it is. I've had my hair like this for a very long time. And it's easy. You get out of the shower, you pat your head down. You don't have to worry about going grey. I probably have gone grey, but I don't know. So, because there's hair at the sides here, but the rest of it's not there. So, no, I've never even thought about it.
We love you as you are, John. Wouldn't want you to change at all. Gary, would you ever consider going the toupee if you lost those luscious locks of yours?
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen. You see, I'm a bit envious of John because, with that head, he's thoroughly modern because he's got the solar panel for the sex machine look happening. So he's
right.
all fine.
That's right. Exactly.
You just simply don't need to cover up the solar panel, John. I mean, you've got to clean the solar panel. I get that. But no, look, I don't really care. But if there's a rug on top, you want to make it a good one because the winds do blow and the hair may
There's some
flow
shockers.
down the street.
What about you, Amanda? Would you ever consider, let me ask you, would you ever be attracted to a bald man? And if so, would you ever be open to a toupee?
Yeah, just be careful.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if someone had different coloured toupees every night, I think they'd have a psychiatric condition that needs to be investigated. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's just weird, and I'm worried about Terry too, that she actually likes that. To be honest, I just think,
Is Terry a woman?
and just hearing that, I'm sure the people that. There are people watching right now are probably literally ripping their toupee off so they don't attract Terry. And the thing is, just be you, right? So whether you have hair or not with a guy, and to be honest, guys have a free pass. They can pretty much look as average as they can look, but as long as they've got a good heart, they're on a good run.
Oh, what a load of crop. As long as they got a good highlight. I have never known a woman to say, oh, you should meet my new beau. He's got a good heart. Never mentioned that
beautiful
he's
moment.
Let me tell you, I would rather a man with a good heart and good character than some bloke that looks good that treats everyone like crap.
I actually have a confession to make. I find bald men strangely attractive and sexy. So, Stanky, you and me, baby, we could be an item, I tell you. Except my husband is falling with
strangers in the night.
in my dreams, baby.
We are very lucky to have a wide variety of panellists join us here on Beauty and the Beast, and I think our next letter writer might be thankful to have Amanda reading their question.
Okay, this is a really good one. Dear B&B, I'm keen to start my own business and have a great idea, which I think will make me a lot of money. But my friends and partner think it's all too risky and I should stay in my reliable but boring job. Do you think in these economic times where so many businesses are going bust that it's a crazy idea? I would be interested in any advice you could give. I like to think big, but I've been burnt before with some of my ambitious good ideas. Pam from Reesby. Well, what advice is the fact that you said that previously you've made mistakes and you're too ambitious tells me there's a red flag with your ideas and that you don't test them well enough. And I deal with people all the time that talk about making that $1 billion, the multi-million-dollar business, and they end up in massive debt. So if you do want to start a business, the best tip I can give you is to test the idea first.
How do you do that, though? Because unless you're a company with investment and big money, it's hard because you might try something, it doesn't work, and then you're scared of trying again. But that could be the multi-million-dollar idea.
That's true, but too many people just say, I've got this great idea, it's going to make money when no one wants it. Where's the demand for it? Where's the market for it, right? So everyone at the moment, in my experience, is looking for an AI business and they're all like, oh, we're going to make money off this. But if it's already been provided and there's no gap in the market, then no one cares. But even then, so there is a gap in the market, you then have to commercialize it. I've worked with businesses with great ideas, there's a gap in the market, but they didn't know how to commercialize it. And the cost of doing the business or running the business was higher than what they could charge for it. So it's a really highly competitive and very difficult way to make money. I say start small. Sometimes, don't aim too high, because if you're aiming for $1 billion business, you can make some really sometimes foolish decisions that are high risk and you end up bankrupt.
Prue, Amanda talks about demand. I thought there'd be a demand for me having an OnlyFans page. Turns out I was wrong.
Well, maybe if you kept your clothes on, you might have done better, Rob. But I have to say that the problem is, I think the problem is with
Sounds
people
like she
who
knows what
want to
you
go
look
into
like without your
business
clothes
is
on. Too much information.
Oh, she knows.
well, in my dreams, I have to say the people who go into a business, so don't do their homework. As Amanda said, you need to have a business plan. That business plan includes looking at your competition. Where is your market? What is your pricing structure? How do you market it? So there are a million things you have to do, and there are so many women. I mean, a lot of women are into small business and they're making a big success of it, but a lot of them don't. And it's not just women, it's men as well who go into it. So you've got to do your homework. And I'm not saying don't do it, but don't do what I did. I bought a motel, a country motel. I didn't do my due diligence and I made a big mistake. It cost me a lot of money, only because I didn't think it through. But it was an emotional decision at the time and it was a dumb one. So do your homework and learn from, the homework that you've done, and don't just chase a dream, because it could be a pipe dream.
Oh, that's all so complicated, Prue. All so complicated. I'll tell you exactly what to do. You find a man with a black heart, loads of cash, use his money, and don't jeopardise any of your own.
What a great idea.
Do you have a question for our panel? Go to Instagram or TikTok and search for Booty and the Beasts AU. We'd love to hear from you. Well, marriage can be a wonderful thing, I'm told. Just joking, Amanda. You just need to get past the actual wedding. If you can do that, I reckon you've won half the battle. But Gary, you have a wedding-related question.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting, really. And it's from Madge in Glenelg in South Australia. She says, I seem to be daughter-in-law is turning into a bridezilla. She insists on inviting everyone she's ever met in her life to the wedding, and will only let my husband and I invite 10 of our friends. Even though we're paying for half the reception, she wants the 6 bridesmaids to wear expensive dresses, a 5-tier cake, and now it's talking about indoor fireworks. Isn't that for the honeymoon? Anyway, and my retired husband and I are having to dip into our savings to pay for all this, and we're having sleepless nights worrying about how we're going to meet her demands. Wow. Wow. What a question.
What do you reckon, Gary?
What do you think, guys?
Well, I reckon you should volunteer to do the catering. And maybe I'm from the era when the traditional main meal at a wedding was beef Wellington. Maybe offer to have that and send her a message. But let's just say it is her wedding after all, and I guess she should be allowed to see it.
It is her wedding
No
after all. Is
way.
she paying for all of it? Is she paying for all of it? I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I always say the way, how someone acts organising their wedding is what they're going to be like in the marriage. So
Yeah.
it sounds like she's going to be an absolute punish, right?
Yeah.
And there are ways around it. You want a 5-tier
Beef
wedding
Wellington.
cake, then have the fake tears. I actually had a 5-tier wedding cake, and I had all fake tears to the top one. The top one was the only one that was real.
Isn't that the real small one at the top?
Well, yes, but I mean, it was a reflection of the marriage, but still, the only thing was the actual bit at the top and the rest was fake. But it saved a lot of money, and there are ways around that. I just think how you behave when organising your wedding is a real reflection of you as a person.
Well, look, Amanda, I'm sorry we've raised this because I can feel your pain all the way up here in Brisbane. But
Don't worry, I'm divorced now and happy, so don't worry.
But I reckon you're right. I mean, seriously, this girl is just putting it all out there beforehand. Indoor fireworks. I mean, seriously, how did she get the husband to propose to her in the first place? I say,
It's a good question. Teena, what I want to know is that if this woman is paying half, but even if she wasn't, how come she gets to invite everyone and the family only get 10 places? That's not equitable.
No, I couldn't understand that either. If you're paying 50%, you should have, at least 50% of the guests. But, I think there's this discussions in this day and age where things are so hard. Surely young couples would rather put a deposit toward a house and spend all that money on a lavish wedding. So I feel really sorry for this woman, and particularly if she's struggling and paying for it. I think that's nuts. Maybe the guy marrying her should reconsider his choice.
Yep.
100%.
Can I just say, that is all the hallmarks of someone who has wisdom to say,
Yes.
don't spend the money on the wedding, spend it on a house, a deposit for a house. What kid does that?
No, the smart ones.
Well, not my kid. Let me tell you, I have one child and I went all out, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite there. But it depends on what you can afford. Don't go beyond your means. But in my case, I had one child. I wanted the big wedding. My daughter had no interest in it, but I had huge interest. She simply turned up and it was a great day.
Oh, fabulous. John, if you were in a situation where you were engaged to someone and they were behaving this way, would it be enough to make you rethink the marriage, or because of love would you overlook that?
Well, I would have thought that by the time you got to this stage, you'd have realised this was the way they behaved, so you might have called a halt before this. But I actually I've got a solution for them. I'm an ideas man, as you know.
You are?
What they need to do is post all this on Facebook, post it all on Facebook, then engineer a spat with your daughter-in-law on Facebook, make sure the Daily Mail sees it and publishes it, and then when a current affair comes knocking to do the wedding disaster story, say, look, you can have the story, you can have the cameras there if you pay for the whole show. And I reckon that would work.
Good advice.
Excellent idea.
Can you be my agent, John?
Well, our final question comes from Belinda. Why do so many men let themselves go as they get older? I can't help but take this personally. Hot bellies, long nose hairs, farting incessantly, and my favourite, picking their noses in public. They are the first to criticise women who put on a little weight or aren't the woman they married, and it's sad to see so many of these old fools being targeted by ambitious young women. They delude themselves into thinking these young things are in it for love, when we all know it's for their bulging wallet. Can you beasties shed a light on this? Bewildered Belinda from Ascot. Well, I don't know about the women chasing for the wallet there. I do not have any women chasing me.
Are these women blind?
Is that directed on fireworks?
Have some self. Look, you know what? This is just. You know what? This is a bloke trying to blame women chasing them for the gold. Oh, you're a gold digger when there's no gold there to be, taken at all, except for the nose thing. And the thing is, if someone's behaving that way, that's actually a reflection of what they think of themselves. And I guarantee you, there is not a single female that is going for a man that is acting that way, whether he has $1 billion or not.
That's not true. That is not true.
Name one man that is that vulgar that a girl is chasing a
Okay, I don't know about the vulgarness, but what I'm saying is that we have seen plenty of examples of young 20-something women with 50, 60-year-old men who they would not be with if those men didn't have money.
Yeah, but you were talking about picking their nose in public and doing all these feral things. I'm not just saying because they're old blokes. Yeah, fair enough. And the old bloke, he's pretty much going, hey, I want to be around a hot young thing. Fair enough. That's a transaction. But we're talking about this particular behaviour that they don't care and they're picking their nose and that's just with all types, whether it's poor or rich, and that's a reflection of what they think. And I guarantee you, no matter how much money you've got, a woman would rather run than be near a man that picks his nose in public like that.
I think there'd be some that would do it for the
Well,
money.
they're blind. Like I said, they'd have to be blind.
Prue, what do you think on this one?
The the problem is they don't start off like that, Amanda, and this is the problem. They don't fart, who knows what. It's as they get older, they let themselves go. They get so fat and comfortable, and they think, oh, Doreen won't mind if I fart in front of her or have smelly feet or whatever. Just going to wash my dirty undies anyway. So, it's an attitude of sloppiness that creeps in
to get a
relationship. That's why so many women I know who are older, who have become widows or have divorced, would never go near a man again. They buy themselves a vibrator. They've got their own garbage recycle bin in their kitchen. What more do you want? You don't need to have a snoring, farting bloke lying in bed beside you. So, it's a win-win.
Gary, how do you come off that?
I'd like to say that I don't resemble these remarks and certainly try not to. But what's coming to my mind when you're hearing about gold diggers and stuff is the old Jerry Reed song. I mean, she got the gold mine and I got the shaft. So look, the trouble is, Amanda and I had this unity ticket all day talking about the fact, be authentic, be who you are. But I can't. I find that everybody knows that blokes running around with 20-something. I wouldn't know what to do. Seriously, it makes no sense. A mate of mine once said that he was thinking about trading his 60-year-old wife for two 30-year-olds. But seriously. You just got to grow old gracefully. Heavens above, be a reasonable person, be proud of yourself. And I think being authentic and actually being a little bit proud of yourself actually is the most attractive quality that anybody can offer to somebody else. And, if there's a little bit of wind passing or something at some stage, do it in private, go around the corner. I don't know. This whole thing frightens me. What have I got to look forward to? You're painting a picture of my demise here. What are you doing to me?
Teena, isn't farting in front of each other a sign of that you've accepted each other?
No.
No, it's an absolute sign of disrespect. It's disgraceful. I would pack up and leave if they did. And no, it doesn't happen in my point. No, absolutely not. No.
It's just me then.
Scary thing. Step to the side, close the door, go in a cupboard, do it in the car by yourself. There's many places you can do it.
Right, so you're trying to force your husband into the closet, are you? That's the acceptance you've got in your relationship.
I'm demanding respect. I don't have a husband. I have a special friend. And yes, he does go in the closet to do that because he knows I do not appreciate it. Good idea, girl. Standing around.
Hey,
What do you think, John?
I'm going to go to the closet after him. The stuff that, nose hairs you can deal with these days. There's nose clippers. We all get this stuff as we get older. The other stuff about farting and picking your nose is disgusting regardless of any age. But we did start off saying that, I think our first letter writer was saying that, you're quite ageism, you can do all the work, you can change your appearance. If a bloke in his 60s and 70s dyes his hair, if he's unlucky enough to still have it, if he dyes his hair and turns down, owns and drives a sports car, you're all going, oh, look at that silly old goat. So
Exactly.
work both ways. Old gracefully, but do it the way you want it. The best you do.
Yeah, I think so.
In front of people.
Sure is.
I think that's a great idea. No.
Great advice, John. Great advice. Can you believe it? We're already at the end of another edition of Beauty and the Beast. To find more episodes, seriously, even ask us a question, make sure you follow us on social media at Beauty and the Beasts AU. A big thank you to our panel, Amanda, Teena, John, Gary and Prue. What a laugh and what insights we've had tonight. I'm Rob McKnight. I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.
See ya.